Perhaps if you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next on the agenda is the acceptance of minutes from December the 13th.
Make a motion to accept the minutes, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion made, and
I'll second the motion.
second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Declare those approved. We have a few absences, excused absences tonight for the record, which would be Ms. McIntyre, Mr. Morgenthau, and Attorney Jacobs. So, as a result, I think we would need to table the committee reports to the next meeting. Next on the agenda is the continued public hearing of Gerald Brecker, care of Donald Bornstein for 271 Stevens Street. There is a letter that has come in dated January 5th from Attorney Bornstein citing that there were some legal matters that are not resolved as it relates to their ability to go forward. So they're asking for an extension to the next meeting. I believe they have also signed the time waiver, so the board is not prejudiced by the request for the extension. Mr. Brecker is also here as well. So just, I appreciate you coming, Mr. Brecker. I don't want to take any evidence as it relates to the merits, but procedurally, I understand that there's some unresolved matters, which is why you can't go forward. And, it's up to the board's discretion. Frankly, the way I see it is, as I've said previously, the board is not prejudiced by the request for the continuance because you have signed the time waiver. So I see no problem in my role making a recommendation that the matter be continued to the next regular meeting. You could go out to March if you wanted, but in the event something happens, my recommendation is you would stay month to month to see where you are in terms of your ability to proceed with the public hearing. I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in on that.
No, I think as long as he's willing to sign the time waiver, I understand the process as it has to wind its way through the legal system with probate court and all of the above, and it's just a lengthy process that has to run its course, right?
Yes, it is considerably lengthy,
Right.
like much more than we ever imagined it might be.
No objections there?
Okay, no objections. I mean, would you be in agreement to the next regular meeting?
Yes, let's, and as soon as, if we know that there's nothing going to happen before February, then we'll continue it as early as possible.
Sure.
But as I mentioned, the probate court is meeting on the 9th, which is the day before. Maybe we'll have resolution then, maybe we'll have resolution before then. It's a difficult situation.
Okay.
The
That's fine. We don't need to take anything else as far as that goes, so.
We here getting paid anyways.
If we say, Mr. Chair, if we say it's February 14th and the applicant determines that February 14th is not going to be an appropriate date to move forward, does he have to actually come to the meeting on the 14th, or is there a way for us to avoid that?
I think that if the board communicates that he doesn't need to come, just the submission of the time waiver is sufficient, then that's sufficient.
I have no problem about coming. It's always interesting to see how the board operates, quite frankly.
I'm blushing.
And to watch how other applicants are treated and how their properties are dealt with and all, and that's all helpful. So it's not an issue for me. And March, I'm supposed to be away on an alleged vacation from the 1st to the 10th, but if we're going to go forward in March, then I'll make my plans accordingly.
I'd recommend we continue to February, and 30 days, reevaluate. You'll know before then whether you'll be able to go forward.
Yes,
That way you don't lose a
absolutely.
month,
Yeah,
because you can't go backwards. If
No,
we
I
notice it, it'd be more difficult
Okay.
to go backwards.
Need a motion, Mr. Chair?
I do.
I make a motion to continue the matter to the next board meeting on February 14th, 2017.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved and continued.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
That takes us to item number 5, which is the miscellaneous board elections. As you all know, although we're short a few members tonight.
We are tough for them.
Yeah. It sure is. You know. So, look, we do this every January. We have our annual board elections in terms of open to regular members as it relates to chairman, vice chairman, and clerk. So, anybody that is interested in...
Just a little discussion, Mr. Chair, over the summer. Some of us, I know that I did, had a reappointment meeting with the Board of Selectmen and
Yep.
accompanied by Town Manager Mr. Mailer, and there was a suggestion by them that they were going to be requesting that boards be a little more proactive and rotate the leadership positions. I'm not suggesting presently that we make any changes in that regard for a year, give the board kind of a chance to get their feet under themselves under a new regime, but I would suggest that next year we do rotate things around. The ideas that kind of come to mind is, I'm not suggesting that we make any rules, but perhaps some standards amongst ourselves that it be organized, that the chair perhaps be chair for no more than a couple or a few years at a time. That way it gives somebody else an opportunity. And my other suggestion, Mr. Chair, is that we have just some kind of a qualification process, such as, in order to be secretary, maybe you got to be on the board a year to kind of get the rhythm of the board and the matters, and to be vice chair a couple or a few years, and then to be chair have maybe a year or two under their belt as vice chair.
Yeah.
Those are my suggestions for the board's
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts.
I think it's great to talk about it. I was at a selectmen's meeting, and I honestly can't remember if it was May or June, given the annual report of our board. It was after town meeting, and I know the discussion came up. I've been on since '04, and the way that I look at these things is very similar to you in that regard. Anybody that, every year you organize, so I don't think any one person is slated for any particular position. The question is, who wants to do it and who has the time?
That's a big question, Mr. Chair.
And, I don't know, our rules and regs, to my recollection, don't have any particular standards in there
Yeah, I
other
don't
than
think
we
so.
organize. So I think the board, I kind of think that might be better for the board, because based on where they are every year, they can just organize how they see fit. I would welcome anybody that wants my job. They're welcome to have it. Anybody, I think that the board itself decides every year what they want to do. So, I mean, any one of us, I don't know how long we'd be on after our terms or before our terms. So, I mean, I would say that it's good to just go with the flow and see what your rhythm is each year. Is there value in land use boards in terms of, some continuity? Maybe, maybe not. I think it depends on your point of view, because you deal with owners' rights and a lot of procedural stuff. But everybody on this board, as is currently comprised, is qualified and competent, in my view, to take any role. So whatever the board wants to do, as far as that goes, you won't hear any objection from me.
I agree, Mr. Chair. I think that there is absolutely value in longevity, and it would be my hope that, that chairs don't, when they rotate off after their few years, whatever it is that we determine, that they don't just say, I've done my time with the board. It would be my hope that anybody in the leadership positions, continues to offer that kind of perspective in subsequent years.
I mean, we're unique in that, not like an elected board, we're appointed. So I think that kind of makes us unique. And, the charter does separate us into 10-5-1, I think, from the coordination, if you will, of the manager's office, or things. I think to keep us somewhat immune from the political influence, not that there is any, but I think that's how the framers sort of crafted that part of the charter as it relates to the Board of Appeals. I think it's worked over the years, but, this is a board made up of 5 regular members and 3 alternates, so, I mean, it has to function the way that the majority sees fit. And I've never, with the exception of, I think maybe when we started, I think there's always been continuity with the staggered appointments, so whatever you guys want to do makes sense,
I think that's all well and fine, but I think for the ensuing year, I'd like to nominate Mr. Manzi,
I'm-
the chairman of the zoning board?
I'm with you, Alan, because one of the things that Mr. Chair said, I wanted to do two things. Number one is, I would not relish the role that you have, Mr. Chair, in managing the board's affairs in between meetings and managing the gallery during meetings, for heaven's sakes. Those are tasks that I don't have any envy for. Nonetheless, I'm not saying anything this year, so I would second the nomination, Alan. But I am also compelled to kind of give ear to the recommendations of the appointing folks. And in that regard, that's why I'm making the suggestion this year and not suggesting anything on an immediate horizon.
I don't, I look, in all seriousness, I'm just one humble servant. You know what I mean? This is my volunteer role in the town. Anybody that wants to do it is really welcome to it. You know what I mean? It's okay.
I don't want it.
I'm not offended. So
Don't look my way.
that's.
You might be first, Alan.
No.
Because as Mr. Chair said, the board will organize the way that they see
I
fit.
want a senior discount.
I mean, we don't, just
I get a
because
senior
you're not
discount.
running a meeting doesn't mean that you're not involved in the hearings, and all the other stuff. So, and there's definitely some value both ways. And I'll do whatever you guys ask me to do. That's my volunteer role in the town as I see it. That's what I am able to give, but I can't give any more than that. That's all I'm able to give.
Alan and I are here to ask you to do another year.
I hear somebody made a motion, I think it was myself, I think it was seconded.
If I didn't show up tonight, would
I think all we have to do is vote on this.
Should we have voted? Well, we
You'd
get
still be
it.
in your position.
Yeah. So Miss McIntyre isn't here tonight.
What should we do to her?
Well,
Should we make her be chair, actually? That might be fun.
I'm concerned if you gave her that job, you might not see her again. But if so I mean, I guess, let's just talk about those. I know we have a motion on the table, but as far as the vice chairman goes and the clerks, is there anybody else that wants to? Ellen was
I'm happy in my current role, it's just, I don't have a whole lot more time.
I think it's running very smoothly now, and I don't see any reason to break up the
But
contract.
I'm in agreement that perhaps.
Maybe next year we'll talk about it, but as far as this current year, 2017, if it's not broken, why fix it?
I don't see I mean, maybe it's obvious or not, but I don't see myself being the most qualified of the board members to assume the lead role, so.
It's coming for you, though. Just a matter of time. If you keep
You
accepting
might find it
appointments.
before you know it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so in the next year, I don't know that any difference is gonna come from my end, but, I mean, I may be happy to kind of backfill the clerk role or something in the next year or so, but.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, depending on what Ellen wants to do, or
Well, I mean,
who would, like, to your point of if there's the vice chair is kind of the next in line, so to speak, then.
I would wish that I'd spoken more directly with Ellen on this, but I keep getting the sense that she would not kick and scream if she weren't an officer. You might share that, you might think differently. But since she's not here, I'm happy to stick her with that job for another year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm happy to.
Do I hear a motion for that?
Well, we have one motion on the table first. But I think that if we're gonna do
So we can
motions,
move it right along. Let's
All
right.
vote on the first one.
do you wanna do them all together? or separate?
Yeah, I think we should do a slate.
Okay.
And I'm happy to get stuck as the clerk again. If either anybody, Alan in particular, might be interested in clerking. What do you think?
No. I'm gonna invoke the senior
Yeah, but
discount.
Well, I would nominate you again for clerk.
Well, thanks. You brought Tip O'Neill to a meeting, for heaven's sakes.
He was a wonderful man. He had
That
wisdom.
qualifies you for an office.
If you want me to be the clerk, I would be the clerk, okay?
Well, why don't we nominate
If
Ellen
so be
now,
it.
we'll give her an out if she wants an out at the
That's
next
fair.
meeting. How does that,
That's fair.
where she's not here?
Yeah, she can deny the minutes.
She doesn't
or-
have to accept it.
Deny the minutes.
Yes.
We'll make a presumption that she would, because she
Yes.
likes doing the 40Bs, right?
That's right.
Always a lot of fun.
Then I will give additional voice to Alan's, let's get a move on, and just say that a slate of Alan, Ellen, and Paul for chair, vice chair, and clerk.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so we'll declare that to be for now, and we'll reevaluate it again.
Is there a for now in the procedure book?
I think that's one of those discretionary terms.
Can I offer my congratulations then, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll offer you my condolences, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, I didn't technically accept it, but we'll see how it goes.
That's true.
I might.
That's true, for now.
For now. All right, so that's fair, and then we'll look into some, how things might work better in the foreseeable future, so. What else?
This-
Nothing.
Adjournment.
Has there been a prospective calendar for the dates of the meetings for the year 2017?
I think we did that, right?
I think we did that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's approved already, and it's posted on the website.
yeah, it's on.
Okay.
It's approved and on the website. Do you need a copy?
No, I'll pull it off the website. Yeah,
Okay.
not a problem.
And if nothing else, then I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good.
Second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned.